Alfa Romeo. And that's not even talking about the battle between 6th, 7th and 8th. Mercedes, McLaren and Renault covered by just 5 points, with McLaren only 1 behind the Silver Arrows. With all that said and done, my name is Tom Davis. I'll be taking you through all of tonight's action, and I'm joined partially by Adam. He's got a little bit of a sore throat, but he's here. He's doing some tech stuff. He's got us in the pit lane reporting as well, so he'll say hello and then he'll be back later on.
Oh yeah, I'll be here, but I'll be back in a bit anyway. I was just having to fix a technical issue because I'm obviously still learning my audio, and then for some reason the microphone decided to change from 1 to 1, so I had to switch it over while you was doing it, but luckily everything's okay. But I will still be in the pit lane, and I'll be mostly manning the Discord chat. Well, not the Discord chat, the Twitch chat. So, you know, I'll keep an eye on that, and we should be okay.
Keep us posted. Keep us posted on what's going on. We got a few guys just going out for the first of their flying laps. Everybody seems to be straight out there on the softest of the tyres, that red walled compound. And a couple guys out on the mediums, notably Kanakinchi's out there for Renault, as is Aleph for McLaren. But guy who I would like to keep an eye on is Jonah. Racing Point comes through that final complex and heads down towards turn number 1. DRS wide open, slight curve, and then you're down the gears all the way down to 3rd at the apex of turn 1, and then 2nd as you swing it round before a quick upshift allows you to get on the power down towards the 3rd turn. Hook it up on the curb, then use the camera to flow through 3 and 4. That's 5, and already coming through into 6. This one, you want to take either a lot of curb or no curb at all. Somewhere in the middle, all it's going to do is make you spin, where of course Sebastian Vettel made that crucial mistake in 2011. This is a DRS zone, then you come through what is essentially a kink at 8 and run it all the way through 9 on the power as quickly as you possibly can. And then you got this flat out section into the hairpin. You can either take a late apex or an early one. Expect overtaking of plenty there, as that he's back on the power a little bit twitchy. 6th gear, 7th gear, using all of that electrical energy. DRS open up to top gear now. As you come down, you've got a long time to prepare for this final chicane. It's all about picking the braking point, getting it right. Make sure you get on the power as quickly as you can. He's absolutely nailed that. Didn't get in the wall of champions. What's it going to be for the Racing Point man? Jumps up to 3rd, a solid opening lap, but he's got to be careful because Kanakinchi's only a couple attempts back on the medium compound, and that's really what it's all going to come down to. Can you make it high enough up on the medium compound whilst not compromising your starting grid? Because we've seen it time and time again. If the strategy to be on is softs to mediums or mediums to soft, medium to soft is always quicker. You just have to overtake more people because qualifying wise, you start a little bit further down. Alex Burble also coming up to start a lap for Williams. We talked about those guys. They started the season really well, remember, back in Australia, just dominating that race. But ever since then, it's not gone quite to plan for the team. They've had a few driver swaps as well. We've now got Alex Burble, who wasn't in that initial setup for them as well. And that line through turn 1 was a little bit awkward, to say the least, but kind of worked out in the end. Hooks it up through 3 and 4. Nice and smooth, actually. Really clean onto the power there. And then comes into turn number 6. Out of 7, using all of the road onto the DRS. How's it looking? Takes a very nice short line, but you got to make sure you get it straightened up for braking. Does that perfectly, does Alex. Potentially a little bit deep under braking, but carries the speed through. And if you can do that, then you shouldn't lose any time. Braking into the hairpin, might even pick up a distant toe from the Haas up ahead. Certainly within that 7-8 second range that Hamilton's been talking about recently, and where apparently you can get a toe from even that far back. So it suddenly changes everything we were thinking about in terms of this, and it's definitely been getting a toe from the Haas, potentially even the car up ahead. Breaks down into the final corner. What's it going to be for Alex? Accelerates well onto the DRS, onto the ERS, and for the Williams driver, only 6th position, but the field is very, very tight. 7/10 separating the top 6 at the moment, and 1.5 seconds for everybody that's set a lap. Notably, a lot of guys have gone round and not set laps. Invalidations seeming all too common. ITAX invalidated that last one, so did Ruthful. Don't believe Hugo's has invalidated one yet.
We've got Ridvan on the lap now, coming from sector 2 to turn 8. And
Yeah, Haas.
he's not invalidating in that time, but like, just in terms of what we're expecting in terms of times, because when you've seen the tier, oh, he's actually invalidated. Curse my words. But
The commentator's curse is alive and well.
but in terms of the lap time you're going to see today, because we're in dry conditions at the moment, you're probably going to expect to see the tier 1 guys drop into the 107s, because surprisingly yesterday we actually had a 107.6 as the pole time in tier 2, which I don't even know what to say about that, but the nearest one was actually a 108.1. And like at the minute we're seeing 108.3s, and you can expect to see those times drop as we get towards the latter stages of the quali, because these soft tyres, they're just not very good and they fall off so quickly that you really want to hope for a safety car on lap 1, for example, because they normally are at about 10% after the first lap, and if you just carry on, they just become so hard to deal with that it's really not nice. Like some of these guys will actually be hoping that don't, and Hudrick has just invalidated his lap. So again, the commentator's curse is going, but we have Kanakinchi on the lap now turn 1, and if we just ride on board with him for the time being, we can actually see how he is.
Oh, you can see a big oversteer movement. I managed to keep it together, actually, is only 1300s down through Sector 2. Sorry to interrupt, but that was huge. Carry on.
It's alright. But yeah, he's coming up from Sector 2. We've actually got the Halo one tonight, and well, that was a Red Bull, I think, in the way. But Kanakinchi...
It was Danny Cole.
Yeah, as I said, well, Kanakinchi's definitely taken a lot of curb from that late at night. Coming up to turn 10 now. Well, he's actually 110 up, so he's going to be into a 108.6 at the moment, but I think we'll still find some more time. And like, it's come down this main straight, this is the turns you don't want to score. Turns 14 and 15, they are so easy to do, and some drivers just brake so late. Let's see how he does. He gets it and gets it through very nicely, so let's see what he does. He beats 108.7 at the minute, comes up to the line, sets up 108.4. So both
108.4 with a big mistake, remember, so there's definitely time to be found for that Renault driver. I'm quite curious to see what Philippik can do. Philippik's just coming around to the final corner. Currently fastest in the session. That was set on the soft tyres. The Alfa Romeo driver has now put on the medium. So we'll get a good comparison here as to how quick these guys can really go. Because if this time's anywhere near that fastest attempt, then you can expect it to be going down, and Vex it improves. So we're down to a 108.1. It is kind of overcast, so conditions might not be perfect, but that's getting closer to what we'd expect from these guys. Philippik comes through Sector 1, 7 thousandths of a second off with the time. Didn't look too clean through turn number 6. They almost bogged down a little bit, over slowing the car. I say that as if it's easy not to, and Rainbow pops up as well.
Yeah, I'd say Philippik, he's obviously on these medium tyres, and if he can get these, he's at a very good advantage to choose if he can go medium to hard, but we'll only see as he comes up to the line. But these soft tyres, as I said, do not wear too well, but if he can get into position in the final 2 turns, he will be in for a good show. But let's see if he can do it as he comes up to turn 14 and 15. Right on board, breaking at the 100-metre board. He's left that a bit late, and invalidates, and first victim into the World Champions. But
first victim indeed. He was actually 2.5 tenths down through the second sector as a result of overslowing the car. And whilst all that was happening, Ulas Aussie put it on provisional pole. First person to go sub 108, a 107.862 for the Renault man. So that's getting much, much quicker. And a few of these guys are now getting really tight. You got 108.1, 108.1, 108.3, 108.4, 108.4, 108.4. So this really could go any way yet. Ulas Aussie's up there as Hugo's. Remember, Hugo's your championship leader. Is the next one to improve, and he puts himself onto the provisional front row. Notable absence from this one. Mr. Consistent isn't here. Felix Lundberger only 4 points back in the championship.
He's here.
The championship rival, number 2. He is here.
He's under Brownie at the minute.
Oh,
so
he's caught me out. He's caught me out. They need to stop doing this. I've been away 2 weeks. I believe I missed an exciting race in a slightly damp Baku. I saw some videos from that, so that was certainly an exciting one that they had just last week, I believe. So after you've watched our live broadcast, make sure you go and check that one out. But as it stands, 6 minutes left in this qualifying session, and Kanakinchi down in 8th position at the moment, but only, what, 4/10 off of the front row. Will definitely want to improve because their teammates all the way up, and this outlap's really very important. You want to try and cool the tires down as much as possible, as weird as that sounds. They come out of the blankets, and this year the Pirelli tire pressures, their minimum pressures, are a little bit higher than the guys would like. So as a result, PV equals NRT if you've ever studied chemistry or physics. Basically, the colder you can get it, the lower the pressure will be, because you got the same amount of air in there. And the lower the pressure is, the flatter the bottom of the tire is, the more of it's touching the road, the more grip you have. So it's all about cooling it down, and then making sure that it doesn't get too cold, that it doesn't flex, and hopefully Kanakichi will have done that perfectly. All about the run through, gets a nice line through there. Actually a little bit of carbon fibre, I think that was on exit, potentially from where Philippik made contact, but Renault comes down, takes 4th gear through turn 1, which is interesting. That's definitely a little bit alternative to what we've seen a few of the guys done. Climbs through the gears, and then back down 5th at apex of 3, and then holds it. These cars are really flying. Would have been expected to see lap records here, remember, but F1 no longer coming to this track. Esports only. It's an esports special now, Canada. Climbs up once again, up to 7th, up to 8th. Underneath the Rolex bridge, breaks at that 100-meter board, and then around. That was sliding. He's got it right on the edge here. We'll keep an eye on that 6-2 split time. He's 4/10 up on his own personal best at the moment, so he's looking for a fantastic improvement. Accelerates out of the hairpin. These tires are certainly working. ERS now getting used. He was at 70% when he begun the straight. He's already down to 60% of that total energy. He's just going to use it all the way down alongside the Olympic basin, braking for that final chicane. Can he keep it out of the wall of champions? It's going to be very close. Actually perfect through the final corner. Yes, he can. He's up into 2nd position. It's an all Renault front row. He's not quite sub 108, but he's about as close as you can get to it without being in the 107s.
I was going to say that we've got the cavalry coming now in Philippik and Jonah. Jonah's actually well invaded out his outlap, but you're going to expect those guys to go out again at some point and, well, try and beat Pole now, but Vex, Rainbow, Hugos are all probably just waiting for a little bit longer for that track to, just get a bit more of that racing line feel. But either way, we've got Jonah now about to start his lap. Let's see what he can do, and I'll take the onboard for this one into turn 1. So he comes up to turn 1 and he takes that 3rd gear, shifting down to 1st, and he'll be wanting to short shift up. He uses 2nd out, 3rd now, so he's gone a bit differently. Coming up to turn 3, he'll use 5th. He actually goes into 4th and invalidates his lap, unfortunately. Let's have a look at Philippik now.
Yeah, it's Philippik. Philippik comes through turn number 1. That was very clean. Ooh, he's a fan of using this higher gear out of exit. It really does slip away because of the awkward camber there. It's all about keeping the rears in line. He's also a fan of 5th, so that does seem to be the normal way of doing it in these 2020 Formula 1 cars. Alfa Romeo breaking down, takes a lot of curve just to try and straighten up turn number 7 so as he can get on the power as quickly as possible into the 2nd DRS zone on the lap. Underneath the Rolex bridge, brakes at the 50-meter board, potentially a little bit deep.
Oh!
Turn number 8! Wall that will definitely compromise the exit, but it's not the end of the world. The lap is invalidated and they're only 66 hundredths away as they come through, but as you mentioned, damage is a consideration. Gets back on the power, missing the right side end plate, but downforce isn't a huge thing into the hairpin because it's all about mechanical grip at low speed, so it's only going to matter into this final chicane. Is he going to try and complete the lap? No, straight into the pits. 1 minute 59 left to go. That car might be okay to get out again.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've got a few other people now looking like they're going to be setting laps, and we've got in P11 making his debut is Ridvan, and sorry if I can't pronounce his surname, but we've got...
Well, I think you should give it a go. Mate. What's the surname?
Kurt Sepp. But it's very nice to have him on the grid today, and let's see what he can do in the Haas. But one person that looks like he could improve is Hudrick, who's coming now down the main straight up to the final turn. Like I just really love using this on board at Canada because like you have to see how everyone attacks the final turn differently, and let's see how he does. Takes that full curve, comes out, gets really close to the Wall of Champions, and can he improve on his time? I don't think he. Oh, he does just about.
It's slight improvement, makes about a 1/10.5 on that lap, but it's not enough to jump up the way. Although is now much closer to the back of Itax, which will be. Oh, sorry, that's just not correct. Much closer to the back of Ridvan.
Hugo's just goes with a 107.9.
Hugo's splitting the Renaults then. We know there's a little bit of bad blood, shall we say, between Renault and Red Bull in real life. They're certainly fighting it out in our championship here at Delta Motor Racing as well. Kanakinchi comes across to start another lap. This one will be crucial if they want to get back onto the front row. Breaks down the gears. Remember, that looks slow, but it's still 80 miles an hour at apex, then 60 through turn number 2. That's the speed that your car will be doing in a straight line on the motorway. Breaks down, and that's 120 miles an hour at apex. A little bit kick off oversteer as they get back on the power, and then Akinchi's braking into turn number 6. Way less curve than we've seen some of the other guys use. That's the line that I actually prefer.
Oh, we have front wing going there.
Itax is there, but just about manages to pick up a slipstream, then get back to the racing line. That might gain just a couple.
Oh, can it?
It's too much curve.
Oh, sorry,
it's just a little bit out of it.
We've got Vegs a lap ahead, and looks like he's 1/10 up and will improve. But let's see how he does coming into the Wall of Champions now. And I think he should just be okay. Comes across it, and he's going to be on for a good result here. Let's see as he comes up to the line. This could be a sub 107, 107.8.
Provisional pole position for Vexit. That's a 107.8.16. To put him half a tenth up on Ulas, Aussie, and Can will be really annoyed that they were on the front row until about a minute ago, and suddenly they're in 4th position. It looks like everybody who's going to do a lap has in fact done one at this stage. There's nobody currently coming around with a quick one, apart from potentially Danico. But Danico seems to be going very slowly, so that's not a lap for Danico. Philippic is currently up, but I don't think that lap time was started before the end of the session.
Let's check. If it is, we shall see now. It is, he's 2/10 up. So he could be jumping here up to a 108.1. So he really does need to get a move on. Ooh, crap on, I've just lost the camera angle by complete accident. And it went on.
Alfa Romeo in the back straight then. Become an iconic livery, fighting with the Ferraris in real life. Not something we thought we'd see. Can Philippic fight with a Ferrari? Vexit at the top of the DMR order across the line for Philippic. What's it going to be? 3rd position, pushes Kanakinchi off of the 2nd row now. Another guy to get into the 107.
Sorry, his teammates on a lap now as he comes up to the line. Let's see what he can do. And is he going to improve? I think this is not going to be... Oh, he does into P6.
That's a decent last couple of laps for the Alphas then. They might get things hooked up. And that actually is everybody now. We had the Alphas coming round. They must have been very close on the time, because I was keeping an eye on it, and they were seconds to go when approaching the Wall of Champions. So they certainly cut it tight. They got across their laps. And, well, the top, what's that, 4 cars covered by about 7/100ths of a second. This is going to be a very, very exciting one, to say the least. Confirmation of qualifying then. Vexit puts it on pole for Ferrari with Ulas Aussie alongside on the front row. Philippic for Alfa Romeo Racing and Hugo's are the 2nd row with Kanakinchi and Ruthful on the 3rd. Rainbow is 7th with Brownie. Remember, that's Felix Lundberg. That was my mistake. In 8th. Jonah 9th. Danico rounds out the top 10 with Aezon, Ridvan, Hoodrich, Aleph in 14th. And then on the last few rows of the grid, you got Itax, Alex Burbo, a name I cannot say, Oskaya, and Gimp for Mercedes. It's not gone quite so well for Mercedes as they'd hoped, given the fact that they are, what should we say, locked in a duel with a couple of the guys at the moment. Seems to be all sunny. If anything, the weather's a little bit better for the race, actually. It's blue skies up ahead. And that will be favourable for the guys at the front. You know, you've put it on pole, you don't want it all to get messed up by it being almost intermediate tyres conditions or almost slicks, and you can potentially lose on strategy. You want to go, hey, I was the quickest, try and overtake me. That's the question you want to ask the other guys to do. But if you ever see F1 Esports, the official series around here, you'll know that whilst it is possible to overtake down the back straight, you can get stuck behind for a lap. So if you can get a good getaway and get ahead of the pole man, it's going to be a long time before they really get an opportunity to try and get back around you. And in that time, they might have hurt their tires, potentially had a little bit of contact with someone further down the order. So it's certainly not a given. Predicted tire stop strategy, we're looking at a 2-stop soft, soft, medium, or potentially soft, medium, hard for those guys. That's what the game is saying to me. We'll wait and see what the very quick guys are saying to me instead, because it's going to be an interesting one to say the least.
So in terms of your tyre strategy, it will be soft, medium, medium. That seems to be the preferred strategy at the minute, but a few guys seem to prefer the soft, medium, soft. But the softs, probably in this one, you're going to see pit stops around about lap 7. So they will be looking to make those go, but these tyres are going to be so, how do you call it, they're going to be like on ice when you go over like turns 8 and 9 or 6 coming out of sector 1, because they just drop off so quickly. You're not really going to be able to get it, but one thing that could swing into their hands is an early safety car. If they say you get a safety car on about lap 2 or 3, then you can easily do medium, which will be about lap 17 or 18 that you can change them on, because the mediums will simply not go to the end. But on that front as well, people on mediums like Asen, who actually I raced in SLR on Friday, and he had a very good race, so he'll be looking to do exactly the same today, but starting a bit lower down in P11. But medium hard can be done, but I don't really recommend it.
Fantastic. Pit lane reporter on the case.
I was going to
certainly
say,
who's on the pit space now, or the start space rather, is Vexit. Ferrari lines up with Ulas Aussie alongside, who is going to get the best getaway. And crucially, in that midfield battle, which of those cars is going to manage to escape the fray? Because we've seen a few shenanigans on lap 1, to say the least. Here it is then. The championship battle is alive and well. Philippix looking for a good one. Can Hugo's hold it together at the front? We got 3, 4, 5, and we wait. And we are away any moment for round number 9 here at DMR. There we go. The race start, still taking a while in this game, but we get underway. A long pause. Vexit makes a brilliant getaway, but then Ulas Aussie closes up under braking. Their connection not the best in this contact. Philippix gone round. The Alfa Romeo, 4th place in the championship, has a huge moment, manages to gather it up, comes under pressure from Rainbow into Williams for 6th position, just about manages to hold on to that one. Further down the order, Danico is not holding around, already up past Jonah and aiming to make progress throughout the course of this race. Philippix on the outside of Rainbow. Rainbow trying to get the move done. Of course, no DRS at this stage. They're 3 abreast. Ruthwell's going to try and have them both. Philippix drops back. Can Ruthwell take the place of Alpha? Yes, they can.
He's got wing damage. Philippix has. And Jonah, I believe, as well. And I think there's a little bit of a swing back which led to that. We've got 3 wide going into the hairpin, and it looks like one of the Hassies making the move on Iason, but Iason having a terrible start, dropping all the way down from P11 all the way to the back of the grid.
Indeed, not a good start, but at the front, Vexit did the exact opposite. A perfect start from the Ferrari man, got away. The last Aussie is chasing, although a little bit squirrely. Hugo's will be happy with 3rd. None of the top championship rivals are around ahead of them. And of course, that's Felix Bloomberg just behind. So that one could go, but they've got a lot of implications on their mind at what really is still an early stage in this championship. Everything just beginning to sort itself out. And the question for me is whether or not Hugo's can stay within a second of these front runners. Ulas and Vexit are really beginning to push the pace. As a result, that gap creeping up. With DRS not available until lap number 3, they've got to be careful.
Yeah, I was going to say what these guys will really be hoping for as a bit of a moment coming out of turn 9. They'll be hoping that they do not get a safety car and that ruins their race. But at the moment, we've still got a pretty decent gap, but Brownie and Hugo's are getting a bit closer. But in the back, we have Rainbow and Ruthel both getting closer now. We'll have DRS in the next lap. And you've got, who else is on the back? Behind, Itax, Hoodrich. Both go side by side into the World Champions now. Itax just about.
Oh, there's contact between the two. Itax is across. Hoodrich is pushed into the pit lane, I think.
And Iason retired.
That was intentional.
And Iason is out of this race. I didn't see what happened to him. But
Iason retires. Daniko's getting a new front wing. Hoodrich is also getting a new front wing, so potentially a last-minute decision rather than being pushed in. In terms of Itax, I'm trying to get a look on that. We are under virtual safety car as a result of that collision, I believe. So just give our virtual marshals a chance to clean everything up. Everything looks okay on the Ferrari, so Itax is, relatively speaking, got away with what could have been a huge incident. All the meanwhile, it's a game of cat and mouse at the front. Hugo's is being very diligent under this one. I've noticed that gap. It's come down by about a tenth on the virtual safety car conditions, which you don't normally see, but you can be very smart with it. You remember, got to stay to the delta, but if you can stay right on that specific time that it asks you to follow, versus the person ahead just being a little bit safe, you will manage to gain up close to them.
yeah, you will, because you just, all you've got to do is just don't get that drive through, and you will be perfectly fine. But they seem to be sticking English, and DRS is now enabled. So Ulas
We're
is
back to Green Flag Racing. Ruthful was very smart there. Got the gap down to almost a tenth on the restart. Called it perfectly. Was alongside the Williams. Didn't quite get the opportunity to make the move. So unfortunately, we were still under yellows as they got to the chicane. But only a couple of tenths back. And arguably, so is the Renault at the front. Ulas isn't done with this one yet. Renault closing all the time. Just looks a little bit more comfortable at this stage. Was able to hold the apex just a little bit tighter through that turn. And there, 3-second time penalty for Gimp and for Ruthful, I believe. Both of them getting multiple warnings. It's so easy to do around here, and I think that's going to be a theme as we go through. The leaders, they're through the middle sector, but keep an eye on Alp and Itax. They're battling over 10th place. That's the last point-scoring position.
Itax having a little squirm coming out of turn 9, but they're getting pretty close to each other at the moment. But the one person who I think is going to be interesting to see what Hoodring does, as long as he doesn't get a safety car, he can easily go to the end. Saying that, commentator's guys picks up the time penalty.
But we just need to stop speaking about people. It's not meant to be.
I was going to say
Itax has gotten DRS, sorry, hang on. Closing all the way down to the final chicane. Not quite close enough there, but it is a double DRS zone. His fastest lap of the race goes to Gimp. He started all the way down in 18th position, is up to 9th, so he's already overtaken half the field, is still going very well. So fantastic start from Gimp, and Itax all the time. He's looking so menacing behind the ass. Pulls out of the slipstream on the run into turn number 3. Now the fastest lap goes to Daniko. So a few of these medium runners are really beginning to get their tyres in the window.
I was going to say behind the Rainbow, the battle for P5 is actually heating up. We've got P5 to P8 having a look, and Rainbow is getting a lot closer to the back of Kanakichi at the moment. As Kanakichi looks to be struggling on those tyres. And Itax and Alp have both switched positions now coming down the main straight, and Itax is on the field. But before we turn to that battle coming out of turn 11, look, you can just see him struggling so much, but he's got the DRS now, and we'll see what happens as he comes down the main straight. Has Rainbow just got enough to get past Cam here, and can get him, hold him, and looks like Rainbow's just about done into the World Champions. The thing is, oh my god, is that a bit of Itax Cam's front wing?
That looks like a bit of red. That was very yellow. It is. That's the right side end plate of Kanakichi's front wing. That's going to really compromise. Just trying to carry a little bit too much speed to try and get that place back immediately. Now loses the end plate, and Rainbow already powering away, whilst the Renault is going to be wounded and defending from that Alfa Romeo of Ruthful, who then has a train of Ridvan and Gimp just behind. Gimp looking very racy. That 93 Mercedes closing up to the back of Ridvan under braking. 3-second time penalty for Alp in 10th, and that's actually put them right in the mix with Hugo's, who's made their potentially their first stop, so to speak, onto the mediums, and it's an early one, but it might allow for an undercut.
Yeah, I was going to say, at the moment, oh my god, Kanakichi goes very deep into that turn, and it looks like Ruthful is going to be the one onto the back of him as he comes up now. Is Ridvan also going to be into play here as he comes up now, I don't think he is, but it's more likely Ruffle. But I think Kanakinchi will pit now just to repair that front wing because he can, and is he? And oh my god, there's more front wing going from Kanakinchi there. So yes, Kanakinchi does pit because this is when you can actually get the softs into the pits. And Ridvan is actually under pressure from Gimp now. And the main thing is Gimp started on those medium tyres, and if he gets a nice safety car, he can take full advantage of that from the halfway point of the race. But at the minute, he just looks like he's got so much more comfort in the fact that he's got those tyres compared to Ridvan.
It's not even necessarily more actual speed and grip, just more feel at this stage in the race in those mediums. Ridvan's got a 3-second time penalty, goes deep, definitely beginning to struggle. However, something's not right with that Haas underneath. The setup maybe on it, just eating away at the tyres a little bit quicker than the Alpha before. Those two really beginning to drop away from Ruthful now. So Gimp will want to get this pass done as quickly as possible. Penalty for Aleph, they're down in 16th, so you don't need to worry about that one. We won't really keep track of that. But Gimp has a little look, a lock up from Ridvan ahead, but not close enough to try the move there. But crucially this time around, Haas is more than a second behind the Alfa Romeo. No DRS for Ridvan. Gimp does have that rear wing wide open, closing, gets the overlap, is alongside, is on the inside, and Ridvan dives into the pits, knows when the fight is done, and then immediately gets a 5-second time penalty for speeding the pit lane, so that's at least 8 seconds total for the Haas driver. That might even be the weekend over, so to speak, but Mercedes is now already beginning to close onto Ruthful.
Yeah, I was going to say Hugo who pitted earlier, and it looks like he is going to be the one who's going to take advantage. I thought he had front wing damage when he was battling with Albon. It looks like does Alp's still need to pit? Yes, he does. And I think Alp's actually struggling a little bit because how do you put it? He's dropping back, and Danny, who's already made a pit stop behind him, is actually gaining on him. So, oh my god, that was a massive Tokyo drift coming out of turn 7 right there. And he's just gonna close it, but it'll be interesting to see what the front runners do as they come down now. Will Vex pit and will Ulas pit now? This is about the window you might understand. He pits up a 3-second time penalty, and Vex not pitting, but what will Ulas do? Not pit again. So these guys are probably just thinking they can go for a little bit longer and do that, but the pit window now is open.
Sorry, I couldn't help but react there. Gimp picks up a 3-second time penalty because they were so late on the brakes into that chicane. Actually, arguably got the penalty because they had to avoid the rear of the Alpha. I think they're going to get it stopped.
Hoodridge and Alex Burbo. I'm not too sure what has happened to them, but they brought out a yellow flag in sector 3, and I don't really know, but either way,
I believe there might have been contact exiting the hairpin. It all evened itself out, but it was a strange speed difference to say the least. As Ulas picks up a 3-second time penalty, that is pretty big. That drops them back towards Lundberger. Almost forgot the name there, but we're all good. TTV Brownie on your timing column. I'm keeping my eye on this battle for 5th position though. Gimp closing all the time. Has a few time penalties, but if they can get past Ruthful, certainly has the pace in that old black Mercedes to try and get away. This time around, Ruthful just pulls to the racing line, says, you know what, if you want it, you can have it. I'm losing too much time defending this one. I'll tuck into the slipstream, gain a couple tenths down the next straight, or rather, gain about half a tenth and dive into the pits as a lot of these soft runners are beginning to do.
As Vex does.
Crucially, so does Vex it. So where is Vex going to come out relative to Hugo's? Currently ahead of Hugo's, now behind, and it's behind by a long way as well. I'm sorry, I don't think this is going to be as close as we expected. Hugo's is going to have it by about a second, drifts it out of the final corner. 9/10, so closer than I gave it credit for, but never really overtaking distance. Now Vex needs to try and use those fresher mediums to stick onto the back of the Red Bull ahead of him and make a move in a few laps' time.
I was gonna say, but I think he's gonna have so much more grip in those tyres. He'll be much more of an advantage to Hugo's. And I think the one who is struggling the most at the moment is Alpa's. Danico has overtaken him, and it's turn 8, and Alpa's just struggling so much on those medium tyres. Might be going for the one stop, but him and his teammate are both going side by side now into the hairpin. Oh my god, Ridvan going with an absolutely monumental dive there. Luckily not taking any other cars out, and it looks like LPS is pretty struggling as Philip Pitch comes past him, so they're not having the race. But either way, Ulaz is into the pits, and where is he in respect to Vex, as they have overtaken him.
A long way behind. Vex is already passed, and he's not even exiting the pit lane. Vex notably set the fastest middle and final sectors on that last time around, so certainly has the pace, but now is 3/10 behind the Red Bull, and you can't really get any closer than that without making an overtake around here. You get any closer than that, you're just kind of second guessing yourself. Another time penalty for Gimp, and that's going to be the undoing of the Mercedes, because I believe that's the second one they picked up for multiple warnings, so that'll bring it up to 6 for the Mercedes driver. And as soon as it gets that high, you are going to lose out significantly. DRS for the Ferrari, number 29, but not quite close enough to make a move there. Will they try it on the brakes? Is certainly looking to the inside, just filling the mirrors full of red, but not letting the red mist descend quite yet. Gets on the power. This is where you want to do the move. Surely it's going to be inevitable. It's going to be elementary down this back straight. They run parallel to the Olympic Basin. They're sailing down the straight. Ferrari not quite close enough, however. Almost looked as if they backed out of that one, just not wanting to put themselves in an awkward position. So intelligent driving from Vex. They get another couple people in the pits. Doesn't quite get close enough into turn 1 either. So that was perfect in terms of where to use the pace, where to use that electrical energy from Hugo's. And crucially, he's actually got a little bit more electrical energy than Vexa. He's got about 20% more in terms of battery capacity. And of course, that battery does regenerate. It's not like, oh, you've only got that much for the whole race. You do regenerate it under braking. You essentially take all the energy that you normally lose and just store it up. It's a fantastic system that has since had applications to likes of hybrid and electrical cars in real life. So Formula One, not always praised for being particularly efficient, but these are the most efficient petrol engines in the world by some margin, and they're also helping the world of electrical cars advance. It's very close once again. The exit the hairpin. This is a second opportunity, the second run at it. On
safety car.
This penultimate straight.
Safety
We've got
car.
a safety car. That's for one of the Williams. One of the Williams is completely turned. Alex Burbo in sector number 1. It's just completely sideways. Just sat in the middle of the track, has presumably had contact with a wall somewhere. I'm trying to see a car that could have been with, but I'm not entirely sure who it is.
I was going to say, what we're going to see now is Gim has essentially possibly taken the lead of this race after starting.
Hugo's makes a pit stop as well, so that's Hugo's second stop of the afternoon onto the set of mediums. Do you reckon he can take them the 22 laps to the end?
Possibly not. I think he'll come up about 2 laps short on that. You can definitely take the Haas to the end from here, as Kanakinchi is definitely on that, but I don't think the mediums will go to the end in that case. But
unless your name's Sebastian Vettel and your Ferrari strategists have been playing havoc with you, that one. If you've not heard about that, in the, I was about to say the Catalan Grand Prix, too much MotoGP watching. In the Spanish Grand Prix in Formula 1, Seb did more laps on his soft tyres at the end than he did on his medium tyres that he started the race on, to which Alex Albon went, impossible. And rightfully so, because it doesn't sound it at all. Vex leads the way once again then on his 3-lap old medium tyres, who has Aussie is second, so that's your starting grid, still 1 and 2 on a relatively fresh set of mediums, only 2 laps old. And then it's Gimp third on the road, but has quite a few penalties. So if they want to really get a chance in this race, they're going to have to take advantage of the softs and then some, but they will have the grit come to the beginning of this next stint. Brownie, that's Felix Lundberger, is 4th position. Then you got Ridvan in 5th. Very respectable performance for the Haas driver. Safety car is going to go round, I believe, one more time. The field just closing up. The last place car of Jonah is exited the hairpin, so within a lap he'll be on to the back of the field. You do have to actively close up. You can't just be all slow about it and get more time on the pits. That would result in, I believe the phrase is, complete corruption if you can do that. So none of that sort of stuff's allowed in Formula 1 or the esports equivalent. And Mass is very slow. That's almost how you heat up the tyres on a front-wheel drive car, so it might be lacking rear temperatures generally how they do that, when you look to heat them up by acceleration and then hard braking rather than weaving. So that's that's a curious situation. You don't see that in Formula One all too often, and you particularly don't see it from any rear-wheel drive racing category. It's only the likes of touring cars where you would see that the method of warming up the tires via non-lateral loads. That is unusual. Safety car just approaching Sector 3, and when it gets to Sector 3, that's when we'll get the notification as to whether or not it's coming in. So we'll know this time around, but I would anticipate that that Mercedes, silver Mercedes at the front, not a red one, that was
There
one
we
off,
go.
will be in this lap, and indeed it will. So
I was gonna say the good
safety
old
car.
BTCC that you was on about there.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Jason Play. I got to, fun story, before the race restarts, I got to interview Tom Ingram whilst I was at Donington doing circuit comms. That was incredible. He's a really nice guy, so thank you to Tom Ingram for being so nice, inviting me inside his motorhome. That was fantastic. Loved it. Vex at the front now that I've finished with my
Oh, he's
humble
gone.
brag.
He's gone. He's gone.
Very early. Safety car member enters the pit before you get to the Niner chicane, and he's caught Ulas well and truly napping. Renault's 1.3 seconds back as they come out of the chicane. Gets a reasonable exit, so it's down to 1.2, but that Renault is under threat from the Mercedes behind. Soft tires working very, very well, and it's already dropped out of the DRS of the Ferrari, which is absolutely perfect for Vex. Further down the order, Kudos is very, very close to Ridvan up ahead. You got a three-way fight for fourth position. Felix almost holding them up on the restart. 2-3 notable packs have formed. You've got Vex at the front, Ulas versus Gimp, and then Brownie versus the rest of the field for fourth position. Ulas now beginning to make a little bit of progress, closing in, but having to use a lot of kind of overtake energy settings in order to gain that time. Fortunately, however, is dragging them away from Gimp. Danny Cole picks up a 3-second time penalty. I believe Rainbow did as well.
Yeah, so we've got a battle going on here. Oh my god, Rainbow, they're definitely going into the back of Philippich, but Philippich definitely struggling on those medium tyres. I'm not sure why he didn't pit the hard tyres, because he's just I think cheated himself out there on the potential podium for changing strategies. But either way, we shall see what he does. But in the background, we have Oitax and Alp changing positions. It looks like Jonah's going to have a go at Alp into turn 1 now, and he gets past him, and Alp banging wheels, but he's not going to be able to get him as they go side by side coming out turn 2. Looks like Jonah has just about got Alp, and Rufal and Philippich are both switch places ahead, so Philippich definitely struggling on those tyres.
As is Alp. Alp's squirreling around a lot, potentially. That's the kind of thing you see from somebody who, you have to make a leap at some point when you're playing these games, where you want to go from essentially playing a game to driving as close to an F1 simulator as you're going to get.
Oh, sorry, Kanakinchi. Kanakinchi's had a moment, and he's got no wing damage, but I think he might have spun, because he's dropped.
Yeah, well done the order, down to the last of the runners in 15th, so that's particularly big. Kanakinchi's locked in a battle for a 6th position in the championship, which you'll never get to. Exit.
I was going to say, sorry to interrupt, we've got Ulaz now actually could possibly be getting closer to Vex, and he's going to have a try into turn 1, but I think he's just a bit too far back as DRS is now enabled. But let's have a look. Be interesting to see how Ulaz takes gears. Like, as you can see, he seems to be taking 4th and 2nd, where you got someone like Granier using 3rd and 1st, so they are getting a lot more. And oh my god, I think that was just a bit of lag on my end.
A little bit of a love tap with the wall, I reckon, but he's used a lot of electrical energy to close that gap, so he'll be really happy that we've got DRS now, because it will allow him to just kind of stick on the back of that Ferrari and recharge the batteries in preparation for an overtake. And all whilst they've been doing that, they've not dropped Gimp either, so Gimp could be doing very well here. Got the soft tires, and if the two ahead of him begin to fight, that Mercedes is very, very well positioned to take advantage. We got a 3-way battle for the lead here in round number 9 of Delta Motor Racing Tier number 1. They accelerate onto the back straight. Vexit gets a very solid exit. He's just about opened up enough of the gap in order to not come under threat from that Renault behind. If anything, that Renault of Villas is dropping back towards that old black menacing Mercedes behind. He pulls out the slipstream. He's going to go for a move into turn 1. Has superior grip on that soft tyres, can brake later, accelerate harder, gets the move done, and now has to set off on Vexit, try and do what Ulaz could not. Ulaz just needs to hang in there and not fight too hard, else that Ferrari is well and truly going to escape at the front of the field through a battle for the lead. Still very, very strong, and Ulaz doesn't look too happy about having lost that place. Very, very racing, aggressive behind that Mercedes, just showing the yellow to the mirrors all the time, filling it, applying the pressure as they accelerate onto the exit of the second sector.
Also,
through the middle one they come.
We've got Rainbow on down now coming into turn 11, and is Rainbow going to overtake him, or is he just going to hold off for a little bit longer? I think Ruvdan is struggling a bit on these 10 lap older, 4 lap older tyres than Rainbow, but let's have a look at he's on board on Ruvdan, and Ruvdan obviously doesn't have DRS in front of Rainbow. Looks like he's going to do it, and Ruvdan going to the left. I think Rainbow is just like, oh my god, they're going side by side.
Ruvdan's very late on the brakes, cuts across the chicane, doesn't pick up a penalty, so had some warnings left to spare. Keeps the Williams at bay as well. That was very Mark Webber-esque, as now Rainbow tries it again into turn 1. There's contact between the two. Rainbow just about saves that. I have no idea how. And all of this fighting allows Danico and Rufo to close up onto the back of this. So what was previously a straight up duel has now become a 4-way fight for 5th position. Ridvan still at the front of this battle pack, and somewhere in all that,
Ulaz
Aussie has come into the pit.
Rainbow is coming. Oh my god!
Huge contact, huge incident. Rainbow missing a wing. Danico's out the race. Ridvan's out of the race as well. Where's Itax and all this? He's making up positions. We've got a virtual safety car. Rainbow's running around in what looks like a beach buggy now. And somehow, I think Ruthful was just about, Ruthful was far enough away. 2 retirees as a result of that. I didn't see how that begun. Did you manage to catch that?
Yeah, just got it on camera. What happened is Ruvdan and Rainbow was coming out of turn 7, and then Ruvdan's car just jackknifed itself off the curb, took Rainbow with him, and Danny was just I didn't get to see what happened to Danny, but it was just an innocent bystander. Gimp has left the session. I'm not sure, but either way,
he's actually under racing conditions, so all those cars have been sorted out. And anybody who came into the pits just as racing conditions resumed, I think notably Ruthful didn't actually have anything wrong with that car. No, that was just a tyre stop, so they'll be a little bit sad that they couldn't get the pit stop, the tyre change, done under SC conditions. And Gimp's not really managed to close on Vexit, those softs potentially getting past their best at this stage. And as a result, everything just kind of easing out at the moment. Reasonable gaps between everybody. Your closest battle on track is Kan Akinci. They are only 4-5 tenths up to 6 and now 7, and it gets less exciting as I say it, but they're close to the back of the McLaren. They're within DRS. We'll use that phrase to try and spark it up. Yellow versus orange. We've seen this in real life quite a few times, and both these guys are on the hards. They're both on the same strategy at this side because they both put them on under the safety car period. And as a result, this is a battle on track. This is for position. There's no strategy in this. There's no tyre war.
So Gimp and Brownie have traded positions now, and I think Gimp's starting to struggle on those tyres because...
Yeah, that was 1.5 seconds in a lap, and already Gimp might come under pressure from Hugo's as well. Remember, Hugo's who initially got the undercut on these guys, then came in for a fresh set of mediums, and it's happened to kind of remake up the positions in what may or may not have been a good strategy. And there's the move for the Red Bull. Just drives around the Mercs if it's not even there, but gets a little bit of a twitch on exit. Is that going to allow fight back? No, of course it's not. Those tyres on Gimp are well and truly gone. The Revler in Gimp's car is not quite working out. Kan Akinci, he looks as if he's got plenty of grip at the moment, however. Closing all the time on the back of Alan through there. Not quite so good on getting the power down as the McLaren, so different setups on these cars for sure, but under braking, that Renault seems really stable.
Yeah, it does, and the thing is, he's on the hard tyres as well, and he could potentially jump these guys in the mediums when they decide to pit, but obviously they'll be able to go on for a few laps longer, so I don't think he's Gimp was disconnected, so that's why he was dropping back. I didn't see that, so Gimp, obviously not of his own fault, left the session a few seconds ago, but behind, Kan Akinci is getting close to LF now into turn 1, and let's see what he can do as he gets on board. Is he going to be able to do it? Just about. As he comes up, don't think he's going to be able to make the move as Alif.
A little bit of a lock up there as well. Just has to avoid the back of the McLaren. Closing up on that Husky Chocolate sponsored car up ahead. Renault brakes, turns in. It just looks more under control. Not necessarily quicker at this stage, but as though Can is conserving the tyres a bit more, keeping in mind that a change to the softs for the last 5 laps is an option, whereas Alif is pushing maybe for a second set of mediums onto that McLaren.
As we have the yellow flag in sector 1 now. Yeah.
We had yellows. I believe there was a slow moving Haas. That would have been Alpskaya exiting the pit lane, maybe underestimating how tall those cars were, and Kanakichi locks up that unloaded inside front tyre into the hairpin. That's going to compromise them on the run, and as a result, not going to be close enough to try it into the hairpin at this time. Notably, Alif's connection is not very good, and that does have an impact, because you'll always be a little bit cautious of the fact that that car could move suddenly. It might jerk out, so you won't try such an ambitious move. And realistically now, Kanakichi just doesn't have to, just tell if this picks up a penalty that'll drop him behind the Renault driver.
Sure, and he is getting a lot closer to him, so we'll see what happens.
In terms of everybody else, they're staying pretty spaced out. Ulas Aussie has managed to close up to the back of Ruthful once again, so Ulas trying to come back through the field. Remember, Ulas has pitted, so we should be keeping an eye on the gap between the 10th place Renault and the leader. At the moment, 22.2 seconds back from the Ferrari, and we're looking at a pit stop being around about 18-19 seconds. So needs to close it down, and potentially being stuck behind the Alpha of Ruthful, it won't be helping that cause, to say the least.
Well, Svexig pits now, and he gets a 5-second time penalty.
Well, suddenly that changes it completely, because 18 plus 5, that's 23. Ulas was only 22 back, so they might not be able to take the lead on track, but they could be effective leaders by the time the car's up ahead. Ulas is going to challenge around the outside into the Founders King. Not close enough, loses a lot of time, and Ruthful just accelerates into the distance. Where is Vexit? Vexit's exited the pit lane. He's coming through turn 2 already, so accelerating and into the third corner. And the gap between those guys, it looks to be around about 2.6, 3.1. Maths is hard. Bigger than 5. Bigger than 5.
What is it? Use your physics skills. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, definitely studying physics. Don't use the computer and the calculator to do everything. Definitely got those mental arithmetic skills. And now Jonah is going to make an overtake on Gimp as well. Where's Gimp gone? Gimp's had an incident. Gimp's gone round. That car not looking healthy in the slightest.
What the devil's
What's wrong with it?
What's happened to the front tyre?
The front brakes locked. It looks like the front brakes are stuck on.
Oh, he's fine.
Looks like all of the brakes were stuck on for a moment. There's a retirement. Yeah, that might have been a hardware issue. That's all I can think of. If the brake pedals either purposely got stuck down or has software-wise thought that it's planted down. That's what that looked like to me, because the rears were spinning against it. All 4 brake were glowing red, implying that they were on. As a result, just retiring because of hardware, which is a real shame. Speaking of hardware, that was one of the... Also, we had the real Le Mans. I've not watched it. I'm going to watch highlights at some point. I was at my girlfriend, so we were spending some time. But, no. Le Mans, virtual Le Mans. If anyone hasn't seen it, Simon Pagenaud, which some commentators are starting calling Simon Pagenaud. It makes me question everything I know, but I'm sticking with Simon. Simon Pagenaud, he did a full rig change within 30 seconds during that event when his rig failed, so it is possible to do, but I doubt any of these guys have rigs around.
Vex is going on Jonah now, and I think that is easier said than done.
That is job done. Yeah, that is really quite simple. So Vex progressing up the field once again. The gap to Brownie is down to 11 seconds. So you'll certainly take
Ruthful as well
on track. And yeah, there's Ulas getting it done. and Can in the pits as well. So 2 places gained there, although one of them on track. Ulas has been trying that one for a while, remember, and eventually the Renault driver manages to get the job done. I'm also interested in that the gap for first on the road is coming down. Hugo's is got it down to 9/10 of a second. If he can keep it there, he'll have DRS. And he's managed to get much better traction through the high-speed corners. Brownie just doesn't seem to have the confidence in the tyre that it'll grip an inside lockup as well. That Racing Point really beginning to struggle for traction squarely as they get on the power. Red Bull already closing before they've even got to DRS. Gaps at 4/10. Closing all the time. That dark blue and black, red, orange, that iconic Red Bull livery, not quite close enough into the chicane. Can they get the run through? Remember, if you have the DRS down the back straight, you'll have it again down the pit straight. That's exactly what Hugo's has got. He knows the car ahead is struggling for grip. Will he try it down the inside? Not quite close enough, and he'll probably have to sit pretty until that time next lap.
Let's have a look at my God, and look at that. The Brownie is definitely struggling because you can see that car squirming coming out of turn 3, and it looks like he's just going to have to hold on and pit in the next lap because he's definitely not going to be able to go to the end on these tyres. Look at it, and this put Vex in prime position to win this race, and Ulas to take a podium as well. So we'll see how these guys end up in a minute, but Hugo's is definitely closing, and we'll just keep on board with him for me and see the difference in how they take it. And I think they'll possibly pit as Alp gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, so he I think that's effectively his race over. But anyway, he is coming down.
Touch on the grass for Brownie as well under power. Brownie, that's Felix Lundberg, remember, working the wheel a lot more. Hugo's around the outside, comes across and swoops for the apex. Fantastic driving from the Red Bull. He takes the lead on track, doesn't want to be held up anymore. Immediately powering away, gets the DRS down the pit straight. Now we'll see if Hugo's can open up a gap, because realistically, he's going to need to accelerate away, try and keep Vexit at bay for as long as he can, come out on a set of softs and try and close it down again.
Ulas Aussie.
Vex has a 5-second penalty. Ulas Aussie, however, that's not going to plan, shall we say. Philippik has gotten around the outside into turn 1 as well, so Ulas down to 8th. Remember, Ulas qualified on the front row, currently running P8 when there's only 11 runners left in the race, so not how he saw his afternoon panning out. But a few of the guys ahead still to pit, so should be able to make up a few places yet.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think he really expected to be where he is, because I think he must have made a mistake because he was so close to Vex, but then he just suddenly dropped off to him as he goes through the lap. But I think he can still get into that top 5, so it won't be the end of the world for him, but he should just be able to. I think the same is going to apply to Philippik, and Hugo's and Brownie are just going to extend their championship lead today, but the biggest win is going to be Vex from this, as he is just going to be able to close in now. But I'm not sure how many points Vex is on, but we'll find out in a minute.
Vex currently has 51. Just around him, you've got Kanakichi's a couple points back on 48, and above him, Ruthful on 55. Philippik on 63. Mizzo's still ahead up on 70. And then you get to the Championship leader on 96 and 100. So this is a fantastic result for Vex that will bring them back towards contention, assuming that the 2 cars ahead of him still have to pit. If they can hang on to a 2nd and 3rd, then he's still got a bit more work to do in order to close the gap to the leaders.
I'll say I'm just wondering now if those medium tyres can go to the end, because I might have been wrong with how I said those tyres wouldn't do 20 laps. But we'll see, and this is the only issue when you don't have the tyre telemetry on the screen to see where these tyres are. But Vex is obviously closing down at a substantial rate at the moment, so
we've got to remember that Vex has a 5-second time penalty though, so in terms of getting the move done, you've got to overtake and find 5 seconds beyond that. So that will be playing on the minds of Hugo's and Brownie, and actually might change the strategy completely, because in terms of saving it versus pitting and being aggressive, it might only be 5 seconds once you've taken into account getting through the traffic. I'm also keeping my eye on the battle between Kanakichi and Aleph, but that one just folding away at the moment. Doesn't seem to have the pace just kind of dropped away for the Renault man. It's not been a good afternoon for Renault at all. And they really did need a good one, given that they're at the bottom of that mid battle.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought Ulas is actually getting a lot closer now to Philippe as they come out of turn 4, and I think he's going to have a look. No, he's not, and he gets even closer to the back, but he's just not meant to be at the moment. As now he's got.
You can try and move here. Remember, this is a DRS zone. Philippic's also got the DRS off of the teammate up ahead. Ulas takes a look to the inside. Will he be bold? Not quite bold enough. Runs as much garbage you can get away with, I think, there. That was certainly marginal in terms of getting a warning. Ulas closing all the time up towards the hairpin once again. So much more confident on the brakes than the Alfa Romeos up ahead. All whilst this is happening, Ruth was still dropping back towards them, so we could see a double overtake from Ulas coming up soon. One Alfa pulls to the right, one to the left. Philippic's going to get past Ruthful, and suddenly Ulas is looking at the back of a different red and white car. Same team, different driver. Ulas is in the wall again. Ulas makes contact with the wall of champions. Front wing end plate on the right hand side is gone. It goes from bad to worst for Ulas Aussie. Just looking like a fantastic qualifying session to set up for a fantastic race. Now running around in 8th, has a damaged front wing, and the teammate behind on relatively new soft tyres. It's not been a good evening, has it?
Nah, and I think through parts of this season, Ulas has, well, obviously shown he's a very fast driver, but I think just like he's had a few little mistakes, and it's cost him so dear in this championship. And he's definitely got the pace to challenge for that victory. Well, the victory in the championship, but he's just got a eye in the mouth because he isn't no slouch. So. It is there, he's just got to refine little bits, but I think, why isn't the word, those mediums are going to go to the end, and Hugos and Brownie are making that happen.
Yeah, Brownie saw Vexit getting bigger and bigger in the mirrors, and immediately closed in about 4/10, half a second to Hugos. So he's saying, hey, come on, we need to get a move on here, or else we're going to get mugged. And Hugos isn't going any quicker, so Vexit is still coming, and Brownie, Felix Lundberger that is, needs to find a way past the Red Bull. Now Ulas Aussie retires from the session. You'll notice we say Aussie instead of the entire full name. It's because I cannot say the entire full name, so Ulas, if at some point you want to teach me how to do that, would be much appreciated. We got yellows in sector 3 as a result of that one. That's just coming through the final corner, actually.
I was going to say it's Ulas Aussie drum. But I'm not sure why he didn't carry on to the end, because he only had a damaged front wing and he still could have got points. So I don't really understand why he didn't, carry on.
Vex is coming. Vex is now only 2 seconds away. This time last lap was 3 seconds away. So with 3 laps left to go, it's going to be very, very close. Kanakinchi now picks up a 3-second time penalty. That will drop them a place, assuming Aleph doesn't have any. It gets to this stage, and honestly, we can't remember who's got what penalties. But Hugos is coming under pressure. That's what matters from Felix Lundberger, and Vexit is still closing in on them both. He's found another 10th of a second through just the first 2 corners, and he's found another few hundredths on the run into turn number 6. Brownie not able to apply any more pressure to the Red Bulls, potentially burnt through what extra conservation they've done in terms of fuel and energy and tyres. Now just have to play catch up, although Hugos gets very squirrely on exit. On the run down to the hairpin, this could open up an opportunity. Felix Lundberger pulls to the inside, Racing Point gets the move done on Hugos. Will Hugos be able to fight back? Yes, he will. Solid traction around the outside. Felix has now got to get into the draft, get that slipstream, open up the DRS all the way down. Just has huge overspeed, 206 miles an hour for the Racing Point, only 190 for the Red Bull. It's so easy down there. Gets it done, pulls around, and now has to try and accelerate, touch over the grass, and that was Vex. Vex has huge oversteer moment. Vexit coming out in the background. That's front wing end plate damage. Surely, no, somehow he's got away with it. Vexit is the luckiest man in terms of damage. That Ferrari's made contact with the wall a couple of times, and it's still got all the pieces attached to it. He was pushing incredibly hard to try and catch up, potentially a little bit too hard, but he does have 5 seconds over ITAC, so he should be set for a solid 3rd position.
Indeed, and he is definitely getting a lot closer to it, but I'm not sure. I think he's definitely going to get that over Itax, because Itax has got a balance in a 3-second time penalty as well. But
grudge match in the Alfa Romeo garage is still brewing as well. Ruffel is closing up onto the back of iFilippic, not letting his teammate get away in the slightest. The gap down to 4 tenths, and then the DRS opens, so it's going to come down even further, down to 3 tenths as they break for the kink at 8. Swoop their way through 9, and you come up a little bit of a hill, and then it's down once again as you break into the hairpin. These Alfa Romeos, they're 6 and 7.
sorry, who goes from Brownie? Brownie receives a time penalty. Sorry, I was having a bit of a battle at the moment, because that battle up there is getting closer, and Brownie's just had a time penalty, so that could swing things into Hugo's favour at the end. Sorry to interrupt, but these three at the front are so close together, you can't really split them at the moment.
You certainly can, but I'm very curious to see how this Alpha battle plays out, if I'm honest, because these guys, they're only separated by 8 points in the championship too, so this really matters. If Ruthful can get ahead of iFilippic here, they'll have huge repercussions throughout the course of the season. He's closing so tight. We are on the final lap of the race. Ruthful only 3 tenths away. He knows he's only going to have one more opportunity. That doesn't come until the end of the lap, and that's where your leaders are. Felix Lundberger in that pink Racing Point into the hairpin for the final time of asking. Remember, it's not done yet, because Nigel Mansell actually was leading at this point on the last lap one time as well before he hit the fuel problems and slowed down. No such issues for Brownie. Looks like he should have it covered. Got a big enough gap behind. He's not going to be under threat into the final chicane. He's driven a very good race as Felix Lundberger crosses the line in first position. Hugo's isn't far back. Vexit is third. What about the Alfa Romeo battle? Philippic's got a good enough run out of the hairpin. He's going to fend off Ruthful for 6th position. Itax crosses the line in 4th. Jonah is 5th. Philippic driven very well, and actually gets an extra couple of points over Ruthful, because iTax's penalty puts him 4 thousandths of a second behind the Alfa Romeo. Kanakinchi, what could have been for Renault, the only finisher for them in 8th position, and a couple of guys round out the top 10, and we'll get confirmation of that result for you in just a moment. Driver of the day, it's iTax. He fought very hard throughout it all, was making up positions, showed good racecraft and good spirit as well in order to do that. But it's Felix Lundberger who comes on, Felix Schumacher, who celebrates on the top step of the podium, gets champagne sprayed everywhere. It has the Lando Norris champagne pump as well. Good to see that that's been all added in, and celebrates alongside the other rostrum finishers in Hugo's and of course Vexit. A little bit of spray of champagne onto, I think that's the Racing Point team boss there actually in the game. The confirmation of the result. Brownie, Felix Lundberger wins the race here in virtual Canada, with Hugo's and Vexit rounding out the rostrum. Jonah, Philippic and iTax are 4, 5 and 6, with Ruthful, Kanakinchi in 7th and 8th. 9th is Aleph, with Ozkaya in 10th. You then get down to Ulas Aussie in 11th. Bad day for him, was on the front row and just couldn't do anything with it. Gimp was 12th, similar story there, much pace, no result. Rainbow 13th, in 14th was Ridvan Kursep. A solid performance from Ridvan. Danica will be disappointed with 15th. Alex Burbo is 16th. Hoodrich 17th, and Aizon is the last of your finishers. What a race!
I mean, how do I put it? That race was obviously we had a mass amount of retirements, but how close they got at the end pretty much showed that that doesn't really affect it, because they only finished like 2 seconds apart from each other, and the championship leaders really showing why they are going for this title. But it's really about consistency is key. But we had a few moments and but most moments have been pretty good at the front, so you can't really fault it, because only 5 tenths split the results in the end. So that's how you put it. Yeah,
it was a very enjoyable evening as ever. Thank you guys for joining. We have, I'm sure you'll be able to know, but of course we are on Alliant Motorsports now. So you got formerly Late Night Racing as part of the squad. We got various special events that those guys organize as well. So keep your eye out for those. I believe they did the 2012 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix recently, and they redid it all with historic cars. So some fantastic stuff on the Twitch channel. And with all that said and done, you'll get more DMR throughout it. We'll be back next weekend as well. And I cannot wait for that one. I was just going to try and find out where we're going to be.
We're going to be in Austria.
In Austria. So that's a lie. We're going to be in France. We're going to be in France on September. Oh, no, we're not. We changed it, didn't we? I do apologize.
Yeah.
We're going to be in Austria. Somebody needs to update my sheet. But we look forward to seeing you guys at the Red Bull Ring, of course, home to many, many great races over its tenure in Formula One and every other series. But until then, make sure you have a good week, and it's goodbye from us.